I'm Melissa. This is Ryan, and this is the Betrayal Body. This episode 2, we are going to be going into awakening. We kind of dabbled in it a little bit last time, and there was some interest in the viewers that we had on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We are on Substack as well, so you can follow us in any of those places. Just look up the Betrayal Body or Betrayal Body, and it will pop up. And we're going to be your guides through this process. Ryan's an Army veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran. So we're hoping to kind of attract the veteran community as well, because they need the most guidance and clarity right now. But anyone is welcome here. If you resonate with what we're saying, stay and subscribe, because we plan on doing these weekly.
So I kind of want to start with a little bit of a disclaimer with all of this. Spiritual awakenings are deeply personal things. No one journey is alike. Our approach to this is going to be put out as much grounded information as we can. I know there's a lot of content out there that is kind of vague and esoteric, and that's a beautiful part of all of this, but we're going to try to break things down with Melissa's experience as a therapist and mine as going through many versions of living hells. We each have different perspectives of how to approach this, and we're going to try to combine those and walk through some research that I've done on spiritual awakenings and some information that I've put together that will be available on the Substack and in other forms such as that people can access and work through at their own pace. It's not a race.
Because we're gonna push this out through the fire hose kind of thing. But it will be grounded information as much as we can. We are human.
Exactly. And again, no one experience is identical. This just gives you a point of reference to say, hey, there have been confusing things going on in my life, things that I'm not sure of. I've been looking for help that I couldn't exactly find. And this is just a tool to put in your toolbox. So that's what we're here for. And if you have questions, interact with us. We try to stay on top of everything. Like Melissa said, we are human.
Yeah, I'm obsessive.
We do have lives.
I'll see your comment. Don't worry.
Exactly.
It might take a couple days, but I'll definitely get to you.
But that's what we're here for. One of the first conversations Melissa and I had, I kind of talked to her about my blood pressure situation and how I've kind of learned to rev up my blood pressure. And this is one of those that the disclaimer was supposed to cover. But
don't try this at home, kids.
No, 10 out of 10 would not recommend if there are other paths.
Oh yeah, because we were talking, I was like, oh, all you have to do is shift this in your mind and the way you're viewing it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? That's all I had to do. I went this path, putting my fucking face in a hornet's nest or whatever you did.
Yeah. Like, this is how
poor
ignorant
guy, man.
I was to the whole thing. Like,
that's okay. It's okay. It's part of your path.
And again, it's the dichotomy, it's the polarity. I was coming from a place so far removed from any of this that I had zero conceptualization and zero interest in applying anything. Like, at first it was just my blood pressure is high. I have pre-hypertension at the age of 22. That was getting out of the Army. And I thought okay, of course I have pre-hypertension because I just went through some shit, and, my whole life has been going through shit, and up until that point with unresolved childhood trauma that I didn't really recognize at the time, then military, and then exiting the military, which is stressful as hell in and of itself, and integrating back into civilian society. Yeah, I had a lot going on. I thought my high blood pressure was just a byproduct of that, which it was, but there was so much more to it. And I wasn't listening to my body. I was ignoring it like the asshole I can be or could be sometimes. And it took getting beat over the head so many times to finally surrender and say, okay, I'm in something that's much bigger than myself, and let's start unpacking it. Let's really figure this out, because nothing I had done up until that point really helped.
What was the moment where you were like, all right, this is way bigger than me? Like, what was do you remember that moment where you just like surrendered?
It's kind of funny. So I was bouncing around just trying to figure all this out. And I'd say this is about 2-3 years ago. I had gotten let go from a job that I loved. I was pouring my heart into, and despite me doing the right thing, I lost that job for doing the right thing. And it was so destructive. I went to another job chasing the rabbit, trying to establish that monetary gratification, the expectation of, hey, I was at this level, I need to keep matching this level, if not go higher. And I just immediately went to another job making a little more, and I hated it. And then left that job, hated the next one, but I was having to drive 3 hours every morning down to Galveston, and then doing my job and coming back. And it was a song that really started to hit home. It's Kiri by Mr. Mister. And
Sing it for us, Ryan.
well, no, not right now. You can look it up, and I think you would know it if you heard it.
I probably would know it. I don't remember names or like those things for some reason. Just slipped my mind. But
so
yeah, if I hear
Mr.
it, I'll probably
Mister's
remember it.
most popular song is Broken Wings. So take these broken wings and learn to fly again. Okay.
You're serenading me. Okay, I do know
Their
that
second
song.
most. Okay, exactly. And you'll know this one too, but Kiri is Kiri Elison. And I heard it in a CVS one night, and I was like, oh, I remember that song. I like that song. Why don't they play this song more often? And when you attach to a song, a song, a movie, something like that, and it just starts hammering into you like unexpectedly, that was this song. And I would listen to it for 3 hours down to the coast. And it made me feel, it gave me the goosebumps. It just made me feel something.
Yeah.
And at first I wasn't paying attention to it. I just knew the feeling it was giving to me, and I appreciated it. And then I said, okay, there's got to be more to this. So Kiri Elison means grace, basically grace and surrender. What the hell is that supposed to mean?
I literally view that as another version of you sending you a clue. Like, hey, if you want to stop suffering, this is what you do. But you have to be aware enough to catch those clues, because you're getting them all the freaking time. Because no being outside of this place, I won't say that. Maybe right above us in the realms, they have this polarity a little bit still. But most entities, beings, whatever, like spiritual beings, they don't want to see you suffer, and they're really trying to help. But there's some laws that they're not able to interfere in certain ways. You know what I mean? So, well, you probably don't know what I mean, but we'll get into it. I just took you in the deep end a little bit for a second. Let's pull back out. But yeah, you're getting a clue.
They're not allowed to affect free will, because free will is inherently ours. It's what's been given to us. And that's a big part of all this. We have the free will to explore anything as deeply or as surface level as we care to. And it's understanding that the free will is a gift and a curse. Like with most everything in this life, you can make it whatever you want it to be. And we know that inherently, but it's a practice.
Well, it's like we don't really understand how powerful we are and how much freedom we actually have. And the way I view it is I'm trying to attached to like a cartoon character or like in the movies where the superhero or whatever first gets their powers and they're like holy crap, and then this freaking thing shoots out of their hand and they blow up a building on accident. They're like, oh no. Like it's kind of
Have
like
you
what
seen
it is.
Shazam?
Forever ago.
Yeah, but it runs
Yeah.
through that perfectly. It's, a 12 or a teenager, a freshman, sophomore in high school. Of course, they're being bestowed these powers. Let's fuck around with them.
Yep. So like there's a almost like a process that happens, but we're walking around like blindly using these, like the power that we have for our own demise because we're just so blissfully unaware. And that's what we're trying to help you out with, so you can make your life work for you in your best favor instead of you just like blindly stumbling around in the dark and stubbing your toe on everything and running into the walls and stuff is what's happening. We gotta like turn the lights on.
And
yeah, continue.
so,
You're listening to that song and it says surrender, grace and surrender.
yeah, and, Army infantry, it's one of those things that was not in my fucking vocabulary at all. That was purposefully removed, and that's intentional. You're supposed to, I am the infantry, follow me. You're never supposed to back down. It took a little while, and it took a few thousand iterations of that song to finally implant.
Cut through the thick skull.
Yeah, like the harder I
skull.
fought. Yeah, and
sorry, that was a dig.
With this, no, and like I said, that was intentional, and it serves its purpose. And I got to a point in my life where that wasn't something I really needed anymore. It wasn't. I made everything an existential crisis that I had to fight through and attack, and that led to more frustration and more damage. And it took me a while to understand that, okay, this is a spiritual thing. This is something out, this isn't in front of me. I don't have body armor. There's not an immediate threat. This is something more. And I have to approach this differently than I approached every other fight in my life to that point, because things just simply weren't getting better. And there has to be a way. So, okay, surrender. Let's start trying that out. And like you said, we get these messages. We have all of this stuff around us pointing us in a direction. Surrender to that calling and explore it. Be curious. Go back to your childhood and have that imagination that is so beautiful and so transformative. And don't let what is projected on us as adults be your limiting factor. It's we have to tap into something else.
It's hard to even distinguish between those things because you forget what it's even like to think that way and to be that way. So many people have unresolved trauma, so those aspects of them are buried very deeply, and it's a matter of like digging those out. But the process of digging those out, you are gonna it's kind of like lifting up the rug or like shaking out the rug. You're like, oh crap, to get to that I gotta go through this. Ooh, never mind. That's what a lot of people do. They're like, never mind, I'd rather just go be blissfully unaware again, because that looks hard and scary. But sometimes it's like, once you see it, you can't go back, man. I mean, some people do. They fall asleep again. They're like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'd just rather, chase all the material things still and have the drama. And people choose that, and that's fine. Their choice.
It's part of it. And the issue there is you're always going to, once you touch it, it's always going to pull you back.
Yep.
And
it created a new experience, and now that's the pinnacle, the thing that you're now going to reference everything from, because that's the highest state of anything you've ever experienced. So everything's now going to be compared to that, even subconsciously, once you taste it. So life will actually probably feel 10 million times worse if you don't start pursuing whatever you tasted.
Absolutely. And you discussed it in our first episode, but neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, you have a lust for the novel, for something that you don't understand. You, no matter what you do, like if you see it, you know, at minimum, subconsciously want to start exploring it. It's when you bring that into your conscious focus and actively start exploring it is when you start expanding and
Yep.
learning things, and you turn things like, okay, depression is the want to escape this calling. Anxiety is the pull to explore. That's the way I've come to understand it. Depression is the running away. Anxiety is the call to your journey. And the more you start answering it, okay, say going from depression, okay, I'm going to turn that into anxiety, and I'm living in anxiety. The more I explore, the less my anxiety becomes gradually.
Yeah, valid. And to add a note onto the depression piece, just because of the work that I do, I'm like, all right, what's the function of this? What is depression? Depress, like push down, close in, like condense or whatever. It's like, what's the function? And if you describe depression, it either feels like empty or heavy or something along those lines, and it makes everything slower. So how I frame depression is like, all right, everything's trying to slow down, and it's an invitation inward. Anxiety is an invitation almost like externally, in a sense of like, let's look outside now, let's compare, let's contrast, let's like, take action, take action, take action on the future. And then the depression piece is like, all right, it's an invitation inward, go in, explore, use it as data to bring yourself to slow down, reflect, tune in. Everything's slowing down for a reason. So it's all about how you're framing it, because depression can easily become like the greatest thing that's ever happened to you or the worst thing that's ever happened to you, depending on how you're viewing what's happening. Because it's just a bunch of chemicals, like in different parts of your brain turning on and off. That's all it is. And so we make meaning of what that actually is through us saying, like, oh, I'm so depressed and my life must be so bad. Or like, something must be wrong because I'm depressed. But it's like, well, what if we frame it like, hey, my body and mind are extremely intelligent, more intelligent than me, even though they're parts of me. It's constantly trying to heal me and help me towards my goals and stuff. So if I frame it in a way that's helpful to me, then I'm far more likely to get to where I need to go in a faster way without suffering. So that depression is an invitation, if you so choose to explore it. The dark forest.
The dark night of the soul, if you will.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we're going to explore that a little later in the episode, but to touch on what Melissa just said. So if you want to understand it so Melissa was kind enough to label me the brain, and thank you for that, because
I was like, I don't care if he doesn't want it, he's getting it.
No pressure. But so a big thing that I've started researching and diving into, and a big thing that has helped my overall health, mind, body, and spirit, is understanding epigenetics. And from an epigenetic standpoint, generalized anxiety disorder, the primary epigenetic markers involved are NR3C1 hypermethylation, GAD1 suppression, MIR132 dysregulation. So basically what that means is you're experiencing an overactive HPA axis, reduced GABA. That's the calming neurotransmitter. And so you have a more inherited stress vulnerability. And major depressive disorder is BDNF BDNF, hypermethylation, histone, words are a bitch.
I mean,
Hypoacetylation,
you're
MI.
Army. It's okay. We forgive you. We don't expect
Hey,
it. We don't expect that level of. No, I'm just kidding.
well,
I probably
you
couldn't
know,
read it either.
hypoacetylation. Oh, yeah, no crayons needed to our marine friends. Um, My R135 alterations. So what this is the shrinking hippocampus, suppressed serotonin, and transgenerational depressive risk. So this is where we get into if you hold all of that in your body, there is a severe likelihood that you pass that down to your children. You push it because you're holding it in your body and everything inside of your body. Okay, like even as a dad, like if I were to go, and I don't know how much I want to get into this part, but if I'm holding that and I were to conceive a child and it's from me, that's my fucking fault. I passed that epigenetic gene along because that started in me, transferred. And I mean, this gets really complicated and we'll have to, unpack all
Yeah.
this in its own
I
episode
mean,
for sure.
it's interesting how you even frame that of like, it's my fucking fault. It's like, I can just feel that that's your motivator to heal and change because the way you frame it is like this fire lit under you to keep going and keep pushing and keep learning. And that's kind of your motivator. Everyone has their motivator. For the way I frame the fact that I definitely passed my shit down to my kids. I had unresolved stuff by the time I had all three of my kids. I just got genetic testing back on my youngest, and she has those markers or some of those markers. Straight up says more prone to anxiety and depression. But what does that actually mean, right? So it just means that the way that I kind of view these also as gifts. The way that you're framing how your brain and your DNA are structured, and like if you frame them in a way of like, all right, how can I hone in on these gifts that I have? I'm hyper active in these areas, or I'm low, I have lower activity in these areas. There's for a reason, and you can actually change it too. That's the cool part, and that's what there's like
Absolutely.
going into now in the research of like, you can turn these on and off, or you can adjust them, you can change them. You actually have a lot of control if you know how to do it, which is with your consciousness and your will. Intention, your intention, your focus, and a groundedness. You can freak it. The placebo effect is real. It's a real thing. You can use it to your advantage. That's how people are healing themselves, like miraculous healings of their autoimmune diseases and things like that, curing themselves of diabetes, cancer. They're like paralyzed from the waist down, and all of a sudden they're walking. It's their will, it's their intention, it's the way that. And Ryan, you're a perfect example of this. Just want to explore that and tell everyone about your journey in that space. Unless you have more to go into with your with where you were going with the DNA.
No, and it's to kind of expand on what you're saying a little bit. It is a gift. Like if you frame it that way and you don't blame yourself, okay, what you've just given your child, if you're healed, because you can work them through all of that, you can help them understand that at such an early age where we weren't given that ability. We had to work through everything ourselves, which
Yeah, we were
created
told
a
like,
lot of
what the fuck is your problem? Are you stupid or something? Why can't you focus?
yeah.
Or like, what's your problem? You're making it all about you. And it's just like the way that everything's framed is so negative and shame based and guilt based. So that's ingrained in us, and we're like definitely working through that now. There's so many traumatic layers to work through in order to like get access to the beauty and the gifts. But like Ryan's saying, like when you frame your kids' experiences in a positive way of like, your anxiety is a superpower, right? Like, you can tune into people really freaking easily. And like, you're very attuned, you're very aware, you recognize things, you're hyper vigilant, like, and you can use that to better yourself, to better the world. And then they're like, oh, okay. And they're walking into the classroom completely differently, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's how we start healing generational wounds, like as a collective. And that's what all of this is about. That's what our journey on this earth is. There was the entire 23 book canon of the Dune series is about this exact thing, which the Dune movies, the two, big fan. But that's what it's talking about is, if anybody's ever gone through all 23, I have not, but I understand where it's going, and it's healing. If we weren't here with adversity, if we didn't have something to fight through, we would be the lamest people. It would be so boring.
Yep.
Is that a life that anybody wants to live? Truly?
You say it, but until you're there, because that's why we have these human bodies, to slow everything down. Otherwise, we manifest instantly. The human vessel creates an experience of differentiation, like otherness, it makes everything like it's painstakingly slow compared to how we would be if we were just like our soul. Like anything that you think of as a pure soul with no vessel attached, everything you want and can imagine instantly appears. You can create it. The second you're thinking of it, it's there in front of you. That's how fast we manifest without these bodies. But we wanted to have an experience where like, okay, what is it? Like what's this process like when we want something and it appears? What's the in-between state? And that's what we're experiencing. The decisions, the moral, everything, like all these things that we go through so rapidly. Otherwise, we're experiencing all the micro level choices, adversity, resistance. Now, would we experience adversity outside of this place? Probably not. I don't think so. And I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself and like what this place actually is, but let's steer back over to what awakening is first off, the first layer.
So we kind of went into how I experienced mine, and that was the sudden and dramatic. That was the brutal one that Melissa so luckily avoided. But
So did.
the other two are called natural and gradual. So natural is spontaneous without deliberate practice, may represent maintained childhood awareness. Okay. So typical triggers there are life circumstances, maturity, unexpected moments. The timeline is a little variable and often later in life. So you just walk through life on a gradual path, but you had the openness as a child. There was no, counter action to pull you away from it. You were guarded. You had regulated parents that allowed you to use your imagination the way you should have.
Yeah.
They didn't put you in a box, and
they may have been already kind of spiritually awakened or kind of just more spiritual, even if they're religious or whatever. Like they're still kind of allowing you to explore the possibilities of everything without the limitations put on it and without framing it in a shame-based way. But like I remember as a kid, I distinctively remember telling my mom, I was like probably 8 or 9, and I was like, "Mom, it was so weird. The sounds around me were getting high and low, really intense and loud, but like it was so hard to describe to my mom. So I went to her, I was like, "Mom, it's so weird. I just feel like it's like, and it's like happening." And it wasn't tinnitus or like a ringing. It was more like the intensity of the sounds would go up and down. And she was like, "Whatever, Melissa, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, get out of here." And I was just like, "Okay, I guess I'm just crazy or whatever, or like I'm just making it up." And then that's
I gotta leave that one alone for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm like, okay, I guess whatever. And then recently I've been thinking more about all the experiences I had as a kid at night with my lights off in my room. And I'm like, why was I so scared of the dark? Why was I always under my blanket sweating and like so freaking terrified and anxious? And like, was I seeing things in the dark that I couldn't explain? And I was scared to bring it up with my parents or with my siblings because I'm the only one experiencing this stuff. So that it's like, oh, closed book. Like, we're not opening that anymore because that just leads us down a uncomfortable path and judgment and all that stuff. So it then starts reopening again in my mid 30s. And my mom still is like, whatever, Melissa. But now, based on
But you've learned at this point not to
like,
invest in that.
I don't need
I
don't need her to tell me if it's real or not, because now I can discern on my own. Whereas a child, you do lean on your parents because they're, like I said in the last episode, you kind of you look up to your parents as like a god in a sense. Like their words are like the gospel truth kind of thing. And they know all. They are so wise and so they're incredible. You like look up to them if you viewed your parents that way in a positive light as a kid. Either way, we're looking up to them. So they shape so much of our
control.
sense of self. Yeah. Yeah. They have the authority, the power over you. So naturally, you're going to adapt to figure out how to be in that environment with them. And so if I'm bringing up hearing these things and I'm experiencing these weird things and my mom is like disapproving of it, I'm naturally going to want to shut that down so I can stay in her good graces and have her smile at me when I walk in the room instead of being like, "Oh, what does she have now?" And
Yeah.
I just shut those parts of me down. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning of like, you bury those things, the curiosity, the like, wow, this like, what could this be? Like, I'm kind of freaked out by this. There's so much happening. I want clarity. I'm asking questions. And then I learned to shut that down at that age because it just was never going to go anywhere good.
Well, and not to be too much of an apologist for our parents, because mine were largely the same way. But the reality here is the systems and structures that are present, that especially were present during their time, our childhoods,
Yeah.
they were preparing us for those systems. And the reality of
Mhm.
those systems is
Yep.
they were never made for us. They
Yeah.
were made for somebody else. They were made to take. They were made to use our energy, our everything. It's energy harvesting, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
they
and we'll
were
go into like
created.
kind of the mechanics of that too as we go along. It's like I don't think people really understand what that actually means or like and who's harvesting. Like there's so much to explore and there's so many rabbit holes people could go down. And so like you're right. They only knew what they knew and ultimately they're trying to protect you even in the worst ways at the end of it. Whether you agree with that or not, that's inherently like what parents are doing. And oftentimes they're coming as a response of their own trauma. So they're treating you how they were treated because they're like, I turned out okay, or so I'll just do the same thing. But it's most of what they're doing is not even a conscious choice. It's a reaction, it's a program that was installed and then passed down generation to generation, almost like what you're talking about, epigenetics of like, this is how reality is framed based on the chemicals getting released during certain events, and like certain brain activity will shift to make your perception change, to slow things down or speed things up. And then your parents will give the context in your upbringing of like creating the stories around these things of like, this is why you don't trust people, or like, see, everyone's stupid, everyone's an idiot, or you're dumb, you're an idiot. They then pass that down with the context around the experience you're having physiologically.
And it's so unintentionally problematic. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We just weren't aware. And and we weren't either so I have a 13-year-old and I was so unaware until just a few years ago. And honestly, when I was studying in school to be a therapist is when I first started learning about like what anxiety even was, attachment. That's the first time I ever learned about that. And that changed the way I did everything. The way I was as a parent, the way I viewed him. And my patience level chilled out. Like everything
Expanded.
changed. Yeah, it did.
And
I could see things from different perspectives.
so this leads us to the third form of awakening, and that's the gradual. And that's a progressive deepening through sustained practice. You went to school to, maybe not understand all of this as we do now, but it was a catalyst, it was a gateway to all of that, because you're getting all of this information, but you're getting it framed in a way that is by those systems and structures like the DSM-5 and all of these diagnostic
Yeah.
things. The information contained with them is still relevant, it's still valid, but it's framed in
Mm-hmm.
a way that keeps you inside of that box.
Yeah, it's
If you,
disempowering. Yeah.
yeah. So what goes on with this is, other methods of continuing the practice are meditation, yoga, prayer, contemplation, which is probably a lot of what you did, the contemplation part.
You know what's
And
funny is when I first read about this, when you sent me the research you put together, I was kind of identifying with the last one a little bit of like, what was it called?
the sudden dramatic,
No, the one after that one. The one where you're like, if your
natural.
parents were encouraging the natural. Okay. I was kind of identifying with natural because I'm like, well, it kind of happened naturally like later on in life. But I was not considering that I was practicing spiritually almost every day without realizing it. And that was in my sessions with my clients.
Yep.
Practicing present moment awareness, attunement, intuition, dropping in. That's what it's called, dropping in with them, getting your heart rate synced up to be in resonance, and using these abilities that I had without even knowing that I was using them. And just in my session today, someone did something with like their body, like their physical movement and the way that their eyes shifted. And it was a couples session. And I like read him in a way that was like, and how I read this was da 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 da, da, and it's like, it's likely connected to this. And he was like, how did you, like, I didn't even connect to that ever. But like what I was saying was like exactly what he's feeling. And I didn't ever realize that was like a gift. I always was like, well, it's kind of obvious. And it's like, he just looked this way and did this thing with his hand. It's like, it's obvious. But to others,
Exactly.
it's not. So I was like, oh,
No.
so that's what it is. It's like the things that I think is so obvious is not. It's apparently not so obvious. And it is like a gift I have. So that
And
was, you're connecting things for me right now, Ryan. Thanks.
and you've connected plenty of things for me. Like, my issue in a lot of places was allowing myself to be myself. And, like I said, I am an introvert. This shit terrifying to me. Like, I can stay in my research all day and be completely safe, like, and see myself in the reflection of it, and either love myself because of it or tear myself apart because of it, and I'm going to be okay. But I can do that in my own grace and in my own presence, but having to, put all of this out in a very public forum, ooh, it makes me
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but it's growth. And,
Yeah. Exactly.
so yeah, and it's a never ending process.
Yeah.
The work is never done because there are so many experiences in this world. And, it's our job to take all of these experiences and slowly, and, especially once we understand what's going on, slowly integrate them into ourselves to eventually become, hopefully,
Yeah.
the highest version of ourselves,
And so,
the
yeah,
most
it's kind
resonant.
of like, yes. And you're describing last time, it's like you almost have to take inventory. And the way you take inventory is not that you get rid of anything. It's that you look at it and inspect it and be like, actually, this isn't as ugly as I thought. It's actually very
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Like, even though it's like a turd or whatever, but like the roundness of it. Like, it's not too bad. It actually doesn't smell that, it doesn't smell that bad. After it's been sitting out in the sun
It's
for a while.
alchemization.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
turning lead into gold. It's
Yes.
it's
And the
a
turd is a
very
bad example.
Gnostic principle.
Yeah,
Turning a turd
yeah.
into a diamond. I mean, that's basically what coal is.
That's true. But that's how I frame it with a lot of people I work with. It's like
Petrified
you were
turd.
forged. You had all this caked on stuff. Now the process of what we're doing is like we're chipping away at all the gunko over top, and we're going to reveal a diamond. It's beautiful, but you have to be able to see the beauty in it. And it's taking what already exists, not even necessarily changing yourself, but more so going back and doing an inventory and being like, you know what? One of the biggest things that I hear in my sessions when we do inner child healing, when we go back to a scene from childhood, the things that people say is like, "Damn, I was a really cute kid. Like, oh, she's so innocent. Wow, they had no idea." And it's like they get to see it from a kind of neutral vantage point rather than the way that they've been framing themselves their whole lives. And that is alchemization. That is, you just freaking changed something at the core of you and flipped it around. And that is what healing is. It's not always inner child healing, and you don't have to go back and do all that necessarily. That's like an aspect of it that you can explore if you feel called to, and it's like interests you. But that's your guiding compass of like, what is interesting you? What interests you? But also what terrifies you the most? Usually it's whatever terrifies you the most is the thing that you're going to have to most likely do to heal. So for me, it's like starting a freaking social media and being myself on it and not hiding behind the way you're supposed to act as a therapist and a professional. That was the most terrifying thing for me. And I had debilitating social anxiety my entire life, to where anytime I would get called on in class, I couldn't speak. I would turn beet red, and I was like sweating and like everything's closing in on me. I'm like, oh God. Even into my late 20s. And to think that I would ever be doing this? Oh my God, no, never.
It's wild.
The thing that you're most scared of is usually the thing that is your gift. Like, that's the thing you got to use and put out there.
Absolutely. And it's really, we see everything going on in this world now. Like, and just being on social media and seeing the angst, the anxiety, and on the other end of the spectrum, fucking people leaning into this shit, like making excuses for it, like, no, this is what we should be doing and this is how it's supposed to be. Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, so
I
like
don't.
people like trying to be the one in the subject matter expert, and everyone comes to them and they just tell them what to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you
And
mean by that?
look at being a gatekeeper, saying, you're
Yeah.
wrong if you don't think
if
that
you
way.
spend $10,000 on this course, you'll get access to everything I know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so frustrating because and that's another thing that's done on fucking purpose. And
Yeah.
has it done us any good? Really? I mean, the
Yeah.
Alzheimer's rate is higher. Okay. In the military, there's 22 a day. Like, fuck
It's actually
that.
like 44.
Well,
Right. So, when I got called to go on TikTok, and I mean called because one day it was interesting, is it was like it was October of 2024 is the month I quote unquote woke up. Okay. So before that happened though, I was like telling my husband, I was like, I wonder if I should like go on TikTok. Even though I fucking don't want to. I don't have a TikTok, and I'm like, all I know about TikTok is that it's like it's very addicting. It's like a casino, slot machines, and it's the same mechanism. But I was like, told my husband, he's like, don't go on there, man. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's bad. Because I tend to like go hard in certain things that I get interest in. And I wouldn't say I have an addictive personality. I don't like when people say that, but I can get stuck in those trances at times. And I kind of like don't want to pull myself out of it. So I've done that with alcohol. I've done that in high school um, with drugs, and smoking on and off randomly. But the best thing that helped me not go down the deep end or whatever is that my mom instilled a fear in me of like how I would be viewed. So that helped. It was like, I can't be seen buying a pack of cigarettes or like buying a vape. No way. And that really helped. But anyway, so when I got on TikTok, one of the best things that happened, besides just like being able to find my voice this way, you literally face every fear by putting yourself out in a public forum, because you're putting yourself in uh everything that you're putting yourself out for the world to see, but all it is just a million mirrors reflecting back at you all at once. So every single fear you've ever had will be exposed, and it's the most vulnerable thing you can do, I think, if you allow yourself to feel that and use it to your advantage to like grow. So it'll be a very fast process if you actually work through those things and you don't shy away and you don't quit. You just got to keep going. Even when like not getting likes, getting resistance from people and they get upset at what you say, all those things, that's part of you coming into your own and owning what you stand for and who you are. And it really makes you anchor into like, what do I stand for? Who am I? It helps you. But when I was on TikTok and I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing all this spiritual stuff, because it like reads your mind, algorithm literally reads your mind. There's
Absolutely, it
patents
does.
out there to read your mind. And it's also reading your facial expressions and tuning into your emotional state when you're watching videos. So it will be feeding you what it knows that you like or what activates you. And so it can harvest. But so I'm going through these videos and I see these spiritual gurus and I get so fucking good at discernment. It's like this spidey sense thing I had. I was like, they're fake, they're a fraud, they're in it for the wrong reasons. I could just tell, like within the first like 3 seconds. And I know it's like not good to judge a book by its cover kind of thing, but you can just tell um, based on how they present themselves. If their prices are
Resonance.
crazy high, if if they are, the way they're speaking, it's not even about prices. I won't even put that out there because like it just depends on the situation and what they have going on and how they value their stuff. But it's about like it's the resonance thing, like you're saying, Ryan. It's like it's the feeling that you get of like, I don't like that. I don't like what they're doing, or I don't like them. I don't like how they talk. I don't like, and then say religion drills into you like, don't
Mm.
judge others, and like all this stuff of like, shame on you for casting judgment. And I want to reframe this. It's not, because you don't know this person. How the fuck could you judge them? You don't even know them. What you are judging is you're picking up on something that is not in alignment with you for a damn good reason. And it's your body communicating to you that something is off here. And the way you interpret this feeling of something's off is what will happen at that from that point forward. If I view this and I'm like, oh, Melissa, you really shouldn't be judging people, like you don't know their story, rather than, well, they're probably a decent person or whatever, they think they're doing good, but I can tell they are taking advantage of people without, they're not even aware that they're taking advantage of people, or like they're not
Exactly.
aware that they're giving out information that's actually leading them down a path of, they're going to loop there for a while, and that sucks. And that's why we're so focused on giving you the nuts and bolts so you can then make informed decisions for yourself and not get swept away by the people that have not done their work and have not they're not constantly checking themselves. Am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Am I fucking, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, if you're not doing that, like, you should be doing that, like, every single day. Like, you should
Absolutely.
be, like, weighing, like, okay, how did that situation go? Like, constantly, like, is this me or is this something else? Like, that's the process that you have to go through of, like, who am I? It's a good thing. People who
Mhm.
don't do that, who are, like, blindly confident, bad sign. Dangerous.
For
They don't have
sure.
humility. Bad sign.
So, we've talked about integration and we've talked about the concept of 12. So we've created, or well, I'm kind of dropping this on Melissa without her knowledge, but
Ooh, okay.
yeah,
I'm down
the
for
rule
it.
of 12. So Melissa and I were talking about the 12, and that was something that stuck with me from that point forward until now. And I think what we met officially, like our first long conversation was probably about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And
We're new friends.
so,
Who
yeah,
does that? Starts a
exactly.
podcast with someone they don't know.
And
That is a testament to how the resonance
here we
thing
are.
is legit. Yeah. We're like finishing each other's
Exactly.
sentences.
You follow it. So my integration, a lot of it, when I was doing research, like what were some of my experiences? What did I have to expand to get to where I am today? And out of the dorsal vagal and sympathetic response that I was stuck fluctuating in to and from,
Yeah.
and it was doing, massive
That's fight
destruction to
flight
my
for
nervous
those who
system.
didn't
Yeah.
see the first episode. Fight flight, like survival
The
response.
sympathetic response. Yeah. And dorsal vagal is shut down and escape and in whatever way you can just to shut off the feeling of whatever you may be going through. And that puts you to where your social acuity is just trash. Like it's hard to talk to people.
Hmm.
You can't look people in the eye. So many things that are just not productive, not effective. And the more you stay there, the more destruction you do to your body. So, okay,
And
what?
I want to pause too because this is what I do. I reframe everything. It's like, why can't you look people in the eye? Why can't you hold these conversations with socially, like with the random people or people close to you? Why do you feel the desire to pull inward and just be and not connect to anyone? All of this is an invitation and it's happening for a reason. And you can fight through it and like push out of it through your willpower. But there's a much more effortless way. And this is what we're talking about. Like, right? Did you put your face in a wasp's nest or your hand?
I
What'd you
touched.
tell me about
So,
that?
so it got to the point where, okay, I grew up in, another disclaimer here because that's another thing you learn to have to do is put a damn disclaimer on fucking everything. You say, I love all the people in my life for various reasons. If nothing more than everything I've experienced has been a path to where I am now. And I'm so much more than I was and ever thought I could be because of every single experience, positive or negative, that I've ever had. And there's been a lot of the polarity, the division between my positive and negative, the wavelengths, if you will, have been insane. So eventually I learned that everything around me was attacking me subconsciously and I was stuck in it. And I'm still stuck in it in a lot of ways. I've just learned to navigate it a lot better. But for a while there, I got, okay, I'm in it. Like, and every time my blood pressure would spike to 210 over 140, which that is, if we're getting to the root of
Are you
things,
dead
that's a
in that
near.
point? Yeah.
So it's
Did you
happened to
die?
me.
Are you alive right now?
Those were my versions of ego deaths. Yes. Like
Oh,
some of it, and it was part of it. And yeah, it starts getting, your blood pressure starts getting dangerous, like to your mortality at 180 over 120. And I'm up in the 200s, and I would have to go to the hospital and get hit with fucking morphine
dang.
and, just hang out for a few hours, and then they send me on my merry way. Like, what? Oh, here's some fucking lisinopril. Like, have you been taking your blood pressure medicine? Man, I burned through that blood pressure medicine. Come on.
Wow.
And it's just so fucking intense, and your body is just dumping chemicals because you are dying, and that's part of it. It's, you're dumping all these chemicals, you're getting psychedelic chemicals, MDMA, like all of this is within your body, and it starts producing that stuff when it says, oh, you're gonna die because that tiger has you by the fucking neck, and we don't want to, your brain says, we don't want to feel this, so we're gonna dump all these chemicals. And when that happens, you start tripping balls, to
Hmm.
put it lightly, and you start
Yeah.
seeing things,
Yep.
and
If you've
it
ever
starts
watched
giving
someone
you.
die of old age or like they're hurt and they're slipping away, they start like hallucinating. Like they start talking to other people that aren't there, stuff like that. You'll see that happen.
Exactly, like, and as I said, I've done it multiple times, and it's different. You start seeing those things, and a lot of times I was alone, so I had to process them in the weirdest
Or
of ways.
how would you not end up like impatient?
Ego, my ego would protect me.
The stubbornness.
Yeah, like,
Nice.
no, I'm not gonna talk to nobody's ever gonna fucking know about this shit. And here I am,
Yeah,
putting it
you're
out
here.
to the world. But
That's
you know,
funny.
damn, it it's a shock to the system. And again, I do not recommend this to anyone, but I figured out that it was kind of fucking fun, and I got a lot from it. It led to breakthroughs, and it's so dangerous from your health. Like, you can kind of see, like, I'm still going through some shit, but I touched that
So
fucking
fun
hornet's
to rev
nest
up your blood pressure per like yourself.
because that was my immediate awakening.
Yeah.
Like, that's how my awakening happened, was
Hmm.
in those moments. And I got, for lack of a better term, addicted to it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And
You went from one extreme to the other on the other side
yeah.
of like you're the victim, but now you're in control. And that makes perfect sense to me actually, because that's what people who've experienced, say, sexual abuse, they'll take two paths, one of two paths. They'll either like become real like I don't want to put myself in this situation ever again. I'm gonna like pull away, never get close to anyone, that kind of thing. Or they're gonna take the other route, which is like, you know what? I'm gonna be pursuing it. I'm gonna make sure that it's never happens to me again because I'm gonna be in charge of this situation and I'm going to seek it out myself and be like promiscuous and
Mm-hmm.
be like, do you want to do drugs? And that way you're getting ahead of it. And it's a I would call it beautiful adaptation. It definitely has severe consequences, but if you actually study that, like zoom out a little bit, it's like, wow, like look at how this person is protecting themselves from the fear of being killed, abused, taken advantage of, whatever. And you were on one end of the super victim of like just getting full taken advantage of to now the other. Like, I got all the fucking power, but to like you said, is very destructive. That's the consequence. But that's the catalyst. You got the catalyst, and then you have to
Mm-hmm.
experience the polar opposite. And you're like, wait, maybe this is a little too extreme. Like, maybe I gotta like taper down a little bit because I'm like a little bit, yeah, I got a kid here. Like, I gotta chill.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't
Yeah.
go back and, redo everything. So
Yeah.
I don't regret what I did, but that's the sudden and dramatic form of awakening, the rapid, intense transformation. And
Mm,
that's what comes from crisis, trauma, near death experiences, intensive retreat.
definitely.
And this,
Yeah, ayahuasca.
exactly. And the timeline for this is hours to weeks for initial experience, years for integration. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what my experiences were. Like, I would have immediate realization of shit. And at that point, it would calm me down enough to where I could start integrating. And I'm still
Mhm.
working on integrating things
Yeah.
and I'm learning. But like the other two in forms of awakening, the natural is variable, often later in life, and the gradual is months to decades. And I
Right.
had to, for my daughter, get shit done quick
Yep. I mean,
because
you showed up perfectly for, like, what your path is. Like, we'll get into this, but you kinda, like, roughly choose what you'd like to experience from what I understand. This is your path. I also choose the hardest routes as well of like,
Mhm.
let me try to help veterans
well
get in tune with
in
their emotions. It's like,
in the gradual, you did choose the hardest part. You chose contemplation. And
yeah,
contemplation is having to look inward and see
yep. And
yourself and
asking
other
those like,
people.
wait, am I a good person? Do I want to show up like this and like put myself out there and like risk getting judged and like all this stuff and it's constant like that back and forth. It's like if you were in my husband's shoes and you would see what the fuck my mind's like. I have to trap him sometimes just so I can do that out like verbally. That's part of my astrological makeup as well, is like I have to verbalize what I'm experiencing and what I'm thinking to process it and like put it in order. So if you've never done like astrology, an official one from someone who knows what the hell they're doing, astrology reading, highly recommend. Because it's so validating in so many ways of like, so basically all the things that people nitpick about you or don't like about you are the things that are in your chart. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean I have to like use these things? Which is
It
what it
gives you a
is.
place to work from
Yeah, yeah, that
and
anchor point.
something to explore. And a lot of times it's more spot on than we would ever give it credit for.
Yeah. Well, because they've kind of like trivialized it, like your horoscope on the news in the newspaper. It's like, oh, this will apply to everyone. That's not real astrology. Like that's just some bullshit. Okay, it's like there's half truths to everything. Okay, so all
Always.
these movies and stuff that are funny and like for example, Avatar. I'm not saying Avatar's funny, but for example, Avatar. There are half truths in everything, guys. Star Trek.
Lemurians.
Yeah, the Avengers, freaking um, what's that show right now with 11 in it? Stranger Things. Half
Stranger
truths.
Things.
What's the movie we were
Severance.
just talking about? It was called The Men Who Stared at Goats or whatever. Is
Men Who
that what
Stare
it's
at
called?
Goats. Yeah.
The Men Who
Yeah.
Stare at Goats.
With
Yeah.
George
If
Clooney.
you haven't watched that movie, I just watched it this past weekend. Highly recommend. Yeah, highly recommend it. It's it'll show you truths, probably more truth than not, honestly.
And okay, astrological
Yeah.
signs. There's 12. There's 12 Jungian
12 months.
archetypes. There's 12 months, 12, you know, um I'm sorry, I just had a something about Mary reference pop into my head. Anyway, that's the ADHD.
I
Hello.
do kind of like look like
Welcome.
her. Like, I'm gonna put my hair up.
Shit.
All right, all right. Sorry, veterans will laugh. Veterans will laugh. All right.
Uh, so the 12, it keeps repeating. There's 12 tribes of Israel if you look at it from a biblical standpoint. 12 apostles also biblically. It keeps repeating. The Aztecs had 12. There's multiple cultures throughout history, different parts of the world that have never had contact with each other. that could not for any conceivable reason be talking about the same thing at, in the same exact amounts. So 12 keeps repeating, and 12 is a very divisible number. It can be divisible by 2, 3, 4, 6. And you can break it down and start unpacking shit at a very high level if you have 12 to work from. You can look at it from many different angles. You can cut into it much more effectively than anything. And that's why I'm pretty sure the Romans in Latin, they used 12 as a point instead of 10 in their mathematics and their counting. Like, they counted in 12s, not 10s. So it's a repeating thing, and it's a very powerful concept if you really take time to stop and think about it. And so I said, okay, what are we integrating exactly in ourselves? And let's look at it from a standpoint of 12, because damn, I've had more ego deaths than I can count, because like I said, I would poke that damn hornet's nest with a stick just so I could integrate something, take a ride. And we're not allowed to do psychedelics, which would have been a much more natural, gradual way for me to do that sort of thing at the time. So I had to create my own. Yay. And so if you break it down, we have 12 inner faculties, and these can be looked at as our navigation tools, what we're trying to integrate within ourselves to become the highest vibration version of who we are. So we create the best resonance for people to attach to us, because our resonance is what calls the right people to attach to us. If we're vibrating very low,
yeah, your vibe,
then we're going to attract people that want to attach to that vibration to either stay on your level and keep you from growing because it's a feedback loop, or somebody that sees a vulnerability in who you are and is just going to keep extracting because you're giving all that energy. They see that you are, it's just leaking from you because you're not integrated. You don't have defenses. You attract a predator, and they're going to feed off of your energy, and they're going to keep you just alive enough to keep funneling that
parasite.
shit. Yeah. And so what I got from that, the 12 are perception, imagination, memory, reason, tuition, consciousness, will, or conscience, will, desire, emotion, expression, empathy, and presence. These are 12 things that we can integrate within ourselves to become the highest version. And yeah, what are your thoughts?
I was thinking, I was like, I need to see this visual. So I'm a visual person, so I need to see the word. But like I'm tracking all 12 in my mind. But I'm thinking like my very first thought when you presented this was like, right away I'm like, it's not linear. It's not in any specific order. And I think you are going to, the visual I'm getting is like a gauge or like a spectrum thing. And you can lay all these 12 out on like in a list, right? And then it has like this spectrum. And the goal is, I imagine, at the end state that you push all of them to the right for this example. And the right is full throttle. Like we're good to go. Everything's checked.
Yep.
We're fucking full, and we can hold the throttle and we're not going to burn out if they're all in alignment. But it's a balancing act kind of thing. Or you can maybe view it as like getting them in the center. Maybe that's a better way to view it, of like, all right, how do we kind of like bob this back and forth and like get them all in alignment long enough? And that's what the issue is. Like when people have like for example, they experience the feeling of oneness with all that is, and like they have this immense love for others and like that feeling of connectedness, which we were just talking about before we started this podcast. And I was like, I haven't actually ever experienced that personally. I have an understanding of what that is through learning about it and hearing other people's stories, but I have not yet experienced it firsthand. But what I know about that is it's fleeting. It's hard to hold. When you do experience it, it's like it's an experience that you can never forget. And now you have an anchor point for what the reference point for what you're trying to get to again. And so it's like the like, okay, how do I balance this out? It's like that fucking game with the stupid rolly ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. I do.
And okay. The little metal ball, and you're trying to
and
like,
you have the
like,
two
fuck.
handles.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to drop it into the thing at the end.
Yep.
I don't know if it has
like
a
little
formal
maze
name.
or something.
I'm sure it does.
I don't know. Whatever the ball thing. So you're like, all right, how do I get this in alignment again? And that's the challenge. When you can flip the paradigm, like what you're talking about last episode, you're like, flip the paradigm. Okay, so everyone's experiencing this normally, like these things all out of whack. And they're like, life keeps happening to me. Blah. You know, like everything bad happens to me. Like I can't get out of this. Everyone sucks. Everyone's stupid. Everyone this, da, 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 da. Well, their shit's going to be all over the place. But then when you flip it and you're like, okay, my goal is to get all these in alignment. How can I make that happen? And it almost becomes like a competition with yourself, like me versus me, like, all right, how can I get these things in alignment? And then you get it there again, and then you have that moment and you're like, yes. So that becomes the drug of like the chase. Like, I want to feel that oneness again. And the way you pursue that is through integrity, through self-love and love for others, and all the things that you're listing, your conscience, the presence, like all those things. But that's the hard part, because in order to get those all in alignment, you're going to have to do some fucking shadow work, some trauma work to be present. For example, most people can't be present, man, because they're too preoccupied through hypervigilance. Is that fight flight response. They're too distracted, and that's from trauma. And so you have to like kind of work slowly through these layers. But I love this. Keep going.
Okay. So I'll unpack them one by one because I kind of went through it pretty fast. And we'll put all of this out on the Substack. We're going to have to figure out a way to kind of frame this for everyone. And I'm working on that, but damn, it's a lot. And the disclaimer at the beginning. Yeah, we got
jobs, guys. We got jobs, families. It's like,
and we want this to be accessible to everyone. And we have to frame it in a responsible way because it's very important. And we're coming at it from two angles, and there could be many. There are many. And
there's probably 12.
It's
we're recruiting.
Yeah, we're bringing
we may have
people
got a third
in
today.
We should, yeah. And he's going, he will have his own perspective, and it's about gathering all these perspectives and creating something that doesn't exist right now.
Right. We're creators.
And
if we're doing something we're passionate about and that we love, for example, like you and I are doing this, it is 11:29 p.m. on a Tuesday night. We both, I don't know if you worked today, but I fucking worked today. This gives us energy. This is like, it feels so right. It's better than having a glass of wine at the end of the night. It's better. It's a million times better. It's like
teaching and learning simultaneously.
And connecting.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like,
and it's huge.
This is it. So when you're doing something you're passionate about, like when it excites you and you're with the right people, like with Ryan, like we said, I literally just met Ryan a month and a half ago. We just knew immediately, like, yep, this is right. And when you meet your people, it'll feel like that easy. It'll feel that easy and it'll go that fast.
It's effortless.
And, and I literally said to myself so many times, this has got to be too good to be true. Because I'm so used to everything being hard and doing it on my own. So things will start coming in that will feel like that as you start healing. And if you can accept it, I could have been like, Ryan's a weirdo, or like, who does that? Like, who reaches out and judge you or whatever? Or I could have been like, I'm not deserving of this opportunity. I'm not going to measure up. Who am I to come on a podcast and say all these things? Like you reaching out to me with you not having a background in this stuff, and you're just like a Joe Schmo kind of thing. Like, I just decided to start researching and applying my skill set in this area. And then you're reaching out to someone who's like, a professional in the field or whatever. That's intimidating, or can be. But you reached out, and it took courage to do that
Surrender.
and to just put yourself out there. Yeah, and when you surrender, like for me too, I was like, well, shit, I'm really busy. Like, I got to get this guy in. And I even scheduled it on my day off to talk to you, because I was like, I know I got to talk to him for some reason. And it was a 3-hour conversation. So yeah, so keep going on your, what we got on this 12.
Okay, so the first, and like Melissa stated, this is not linear. Like, don't take this order into don't let it sit like it has to be done this way. And that goes to our astrological signs. Like, I'm a Pisces. I'm naturally more, I live in the realm of imagination. And so if I'm naturally inclined to that, so that's going to be more in alignment with me just from the jump. And I had to work my way through these things in a non-linear way, but we'll start from the top. How this list is set, it's perception. Do I miss what's in front of me? Can I see the things that are going
That's big.
reality for what it is?
Yeah, like that song on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Am I hearing the song? Am I actually hearing
Yeah.
the song in
Am
the
I
lens
hearing
that
or
it's being
listening?
presented? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the so what? The engine of progress is the way you need to look at it. Am I seeing what's going on? Am I interacting with my perception in the way I need to be? Could I be doing more? Am I projecting this perception? There's a whole bunch of different ways to look at it.
Yeah. And that's literally the work that I do. And this is how I came to this awareness, was doing couples work. I'm like, wow, you guys have two completely wildly different experiences about
And
what the other person is doing and what they're experiencing.
you get to see the dichotomy firsthand of the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And okay, well, maybe this person who's supposed to be the masculine isn't behaving as the masculine in this relationship. The paradigm is flipped, and that's why the relationship isn't working how it's supposed to.
Yes, and I felt drawn to this, and when I got my astrology reading, it was specifically for business astrology, which I loved, because I was like, sweet, now I know why it's a struggle to sell the couples course that I created. It's because it's missing me in it, my stories, my personal stories.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned that through my astrology stuff, is like, I do a lot of self-disclosure in my sessions. It's like my personal stories are the gateway to helping people, because they're able to put themselves and see things from a different angle that's at a safe distance from their situation that they're way too close to and they don't have perspective on, like in a healthy way that's beneficial to them. And so I tell my stories, and then they see it from another angle because I've been through it. And it's usually the weekend before. And then the next session, they'll be going through that exact scenario. And I'm like, wow, look at that. Okay. So
Hey,
let's tell you about what happened, how I handled it. And then through those reframes, they're like, shit, okay, wow. But I see these people having completely opposite experiences of each other. And then I'm kind of like, it's funny because my zodiac is Libra, the scale. I'm like, let's balance them out. Like,
exactly.
get you right, work you right up. But yeah, you're right. It's the masculine and the feminine energies are swapped usually. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a girl or a guy or whatever. It's the energies need to be embodied in a way that for example, masculine, they're like, I'm the provider, I'm the strong one, I'm the this, the that. But it's very distorted in the way that it actually needs to be. And it's basically yes, you are the protector. Yes, you are the provider and all those things, but not in the way you think. What the protector actually is protecting the emotions, protecting the emotional landscape, which is very nuanced and scary for guys to
Yes.
explore. They're like, God, like, where do I begin? I don't even know how to explore my own emotions. So they're like, how do I do that? And so they resort to the 3D physical structural support and protection. And that's not what women need. That's not what the divine feminine needs. The divine feminine needs the bandwidth or the emotional safety. If you imagine it on the physical plane, move up to the etheric or like up into the head or the intuition. In order for her to navigate that landscape, she has to know that it's safe for her to disappear and go do that. That you're going to hold down that fort and it's not going to be held against her. And we'll go into that in future episodes or whatever. But yeah, they're flipped in a nutshell. Usually.
Exactly. And that's a matter of perception and how we perceive ourselves interacting with this world. It gets turned. And we have to cut into that and integrate, like, okay, maybe I'm not perceiving how I'm supposed to be interacting with my environment, with the stimuli that's coming at me. So, yeah, that's the perception aspect. Number 2 is the imagination. And like we kind of went into leading into the 12, Pisces, that's my realm. And I was out of alignment with it because its description is, do I imagine creatively or just worry? I was a worry fucking wart. Like, I worried about everything. And that led me to being stuck in a sympathetic or dorsal vagal response. And
Well, what was the theme of the fear?
everything, like, felt like Chicken Little sometimes. You know,
Like what
the sky is falling.
people are gonna get hurt. People are gonna be emotionally
Yeah.
hurt, or that kind of both.
So I wasn't safe to let my imaginative creativity be expressed, and I wasn't comfortable in it. But the second I started being comfortable in that imagination and creativity, I started making some amazing fucking things, like algorithms and, going into epigenetics. I've created apps. Like, I have 3 or 4 apps right now that I'm working on that. Okay, so one is a epigenetic diagnostic app that I just recently, it takes your epigenetic markers and blood work, and all I have to do is pull that file in from the test results, and it gives you an entire breakdown of
Yeah.
what your epigenetics are doing and what you need to do to counterbalance what is going on with your body. And I started, like, I was scared, I was worried about it until I started doing it myself. And I talked in the first episode of, the fact that I had rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, symptoms where some days I could barely get out of bed. It hurt to walk. My feet were on fire. My hands were in. Now, doing things, following everything that I created, I can move. I feel good. Like, I can still feel when things get stressful, a little
Yeah. Your body lets you know, but you pay attention now.
manifestation. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know
It doesn't have to be so
exactly
loud.
what exactly.
Like, you're
Like,
not
I
gonna
don't have
listen
to
to
go.
me? Fine. It's what it was doing.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
don't have to go and hurt myself and damage myself. I can integrate by healing. And I had to become comfortable with my imagination, my core self, the best aspect, the strongest attribute of what I was given in this world, to start letting that shine. And this is the tool for envisioning infinite possibilities and shifting from fear-based loops to create vision. And that encompasses me almost to a T. So
Yep.
I did that.
And also with We've been touching on ADHD. That show, Queen's Gambit. Have you ever watched that?
I love it. Yeah, big fan.
So in that show, she's like a chess player or whatever, but she grew up in like an orphanage basically, and she's like laying in bed and playing the chess pieces on the ceiling in her mind using her imagination. That is a perfect example of ADHD in action. If you anchor into your ADHD capabilities, that's just one angle. Not everyone's going to have like the visual, whatever. Like some people are going to have more, hyperfixation in other areas. But that's an example of like you can literally create 3D objects in your mind and shift it and move it around and look at the intricate details of it and then create it. No different than a computer rendering something with a 3D printer. These computers and these apps and the freaking ChatGPT and AI, whatever, they're mimicking us.
Yeah.
The coolest experience I ever had when I was tapped in, you could say, was like, holy shit, we are a superhuman computer, like organic computer, like literally anything that we want to know will be hand delivered to us when we are aligned and calm down all this anxiety and like the fear-based stuff and the shame and all that. Wherever you put your focus, whatever you put your attention on and intention, it will be hand delivered to you like you're a freaking king or queen. Like, here you go. You wanted answers to this? I was like, how are my clients healing with these modalities? I want to know. And it showed me the energetic shifts that occur like with particles, and like it was incredible. And I was like, oh, okay. It's like what science couldn't explain. That's nice.
And so to expand on that a little bit, and AI is the perfect entry point to this. The better the information and the more complex information you put in, collectively, the better you get in return. Like if you put in something thoughtful, deep, and complex, it's going to give you an equally, but it has the potential because it's tapped into literally all the written and documented information in this world. It's going to push that back, that thought. Like you just have to frame a thought in a certain way with intent and goodness, and it's going to return that to you. And
Well, depending on
goes for us.
Right. Yeah. And so you're talking about AI as like kind of the analogy, but also like literally like what you're putting out is what will be returned to you. And same with AI though. I mean, don't use ChatGPT, but it's just like kind of Walmart version of AI. It's very much guardrails and like, they have the little kitty, kitty whatever. I'm visualizing like ice skating.
Yeah,
they're like, you can't handle this.
PVC thing.
We're just gonna give you this like generic version of like, and what a slap in the face, right? To have so many guardrails over your inquiries. Yep. Someone was just telling me about how they're like getting in arguments with their AI now. Like, no, like I want to know the spiritual blah blah blah, and it's like, actually, this is not scientifically accurate or something, and it's like, no, fuck you. And they're doing that on purpose to like gaslight you, and they're trying to see how much they can get away with and how much they can convince you to stop, or like if we push back hard enough then they'll just stop, and then they'll just stop the search. But this is where persistence comes in. Like Ryan and I are doing this at freaking midnight, like I got toddlers I put in bed, I worked all day, like I got a freaking early appointment, but this matters and it motivates us to keep going. And it's not that we're like being these selfless martyr people or whatever. It's just like, no, we're actually being very selfish primarily. It's like, no, I fucking love it. Like, I just love how this feels. And as a byproduct, you guys are getting hopefully enlightened.
That's the goal. So that takes us to number 3, and that's memory. Is my sense of self coherent? This integrates your history into a coherent narrative so you can learn from patterns rather than repeating them.
This is my specialty area. At least when I work with people. It's a little harder on myself. I'm too close to it.
And that's understandable, but it's a matter, like you said, it's not have all of these items to the far right. This is where the divisible by 2 thing comes into play, like in guardrails. These are your guardrails. You want them in the middle, and that's Jungian integration or individuation, the shadow and self. You keep all of these aspects. You're not trying to destroy one or the other. You're trying to bring them both together coherently. And once you do that, that is when you can start. You might deviate a little bit on any one of these items, but you know how to bring them back to stasis. And that's what we're trying to accomplish in this life, bringing all of these 12 to the as close to the middle as possible. And if we need to deviate, we can intentionally deviate. We can lower one level to, matrix something, dodge it, or we can heighten it to really process something. And
You know what I'm
work
actually
through.
thinking of? Sorry. It's like
Go
in the
ahead.
video game with the avatar you choose and how you're like shifting like
Mhm.
strength,
Yeah.
like your abilities. That's
Mhm.
what I was actually imagining. It's like you can adjust as needed to your benefit.
Yeah.
Like, for example, this past week, and it's all about refinement, is really what's happening. It's like you have these ideas of who you want to be, but it's very hard to apply it. And you have so many things working against you as far as like your belief systems, your environment, like the situations you find yourself in. It's challenging. So you work and do these small little refinements. And these refinements over time are sometimes really big, like your experience through your physical body changing so rapidly. And then small refinements, like for example, I watched back the podcast from last week and I'm like, there's little things I want to shift in the way that I either hold space or the way I communicate or whatever. And it's not that I'm beating myself up about it, but it's more like, well, I like to be more refined in a sense. And I could feel my own, like where I was coming from in the way that I said certain things. And I can look back and reflect and use that as data of like, okay, I think I'm ready to level up now. Like, I don't think I need to prove or like, and what I'm referencing here is I was like, that's so interesting that I responded that way to what I said. And I was like, it was that feeling of, I used to be so scared to. So this is your version or my version of you putting your hand in a wasp's nest or whatever, hitting a wasp
Mhm.
nest
Yeah, it's
to
exposure
go
therapy.
to one extreme to the other. So my extreme was like I was so scared to speak up and like speak authentically as a therapist because like and self-disclose and all these things. I was so scared because they drill it into you like don't do that. Like everyone's so fragile or whatever. Like liability, like oh, you're going to hurt someone. And so you're like, "Oh god." And I don't want to be like and my fear wasn't actually like hurting people because I know like I'm good in that department as far as like connecting with other people, but it's more of like what are my colleagues going to think is what was holding me back. So then I went to the other end of the spectrum and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to fucking go to the other extreme and I'm going to cuss and do whatever the fuck I want. And it was so surprising to me that I was like that expressive about how it was like the exact opposite. And I'm like, whoa, that's interesting because I don't actually feel that way anymore. Like my physical response did not match how I actually feel now, which is like, no, I
Mhm.
actually feel pretty safe. And it's not that big of a deal anymore. But the way I was presenting it behaviorally and emotionally felt big. So I was like, ooh, there's something mismatched here. So I'm like, let me pull it into the center. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't need to be that dramatic anymore to prove to myself that I'm safe.
It's still
Is what it
you.
is. Mm-hmm. It
It's
is.
still you. And, for me, cussing provides emphasis. It's part of us. If we were in the
Sure.
fucking military, that was
Yeah.
it
I
would
actually
be
have a post
totally
going viral
against.
right now of me cussing and everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, so it's not about the
Yeah.
cussing necessarily. It's about the energy that I was putting out of like having to like make a scene about how oppressive my field is. When I'm like,
Mhm.
no, it's actually not that oppressive. It's actually how I was framing it in my reality. Because the actual information is the same. The laws are the same. Our ethical codes are the same. It's how I was interpreting those ethical codes, is how I was interpreting what the professors were saying. I was framing it from a fear-based perspective, and then I approached it that way, and then I became a victim of that system that I created in my mind. And so I reframed it, or I had to launch out of the oppressive state into I'm in control now. Fuck everyone. Come get me, but I
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything wrong to begin with, but I had to jolt myself out and be like,
Mhm.
this, I'm so tough or whatever, but I'm like, really, I don't need to make, like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, I can just come back in the middle now. Like, I'm actually kind of like some people are still caught in that mindset and still view me that way. Like, I'm like, whoa, I'm on the wild side of TikTok now. I got a cussing therapist that's saying opinionated things, and it's like hard for them to watch, but I don't really care anymore. So there's no reason for me to be that
Well,
extreme. So this is
hey,
this is what we're talking about, of like reflection, like, is my outward behaviors matching how I actually feel? And what is the disconnect? That's the question.
we're water energy beings. Water always finds its level. It should always find its level. So
Unless you
that's one
resist.
way to yeah,
If you
the
don't
less you
surrender.
resist, yeah, the
Yeah,
less
think
you
about someone like
resist
someone's in water and they're like, I'm drowning.
turbu
You're like, stop moving, just
creating
lay on your back
turbulence.
and
Yeah,
chill. It's the same thing.
exactly. And if you start framing it that way to yourself, like, oh
Yeah.
shit, that makes sense. So
Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll work
yeah,
through these a
that
little
was
faster so we actually
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
don't make this a 4 hour. I'm sure
Shit.
people wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
They just push pause and watch it on their way home every day for the week.
So we'll get through these 12 and wrap it up. This will probably have to be a 2-part episode because, I mean, this is huge.
Yeah. What is awakening?
This is what, and it's such a complex thing and it deserves, the time. Number 4, reason. Is my thinking clear? The analytical filter that examines and updates the assumptions currently limiting your growth.
Mm.
Okay. 5, intuition. Do I trust my gut? Provides direct knowing and subtle attunement that logic alone cannot access. Conscience. Do I act with integrity? The moral compass essential for confronting the shadow and ethical crisis that arise in deep work. Will. Can I follow through? The power of commitment and discipline required to maintain momentum through the
Ooh.
dry spells. Yeah, that's a good
This
one.
is a big one for a lot of people, especially ADHDers. We are fast burners. We burn through our dopamine very
Yeah,
quickly.
we
We're
expend,
like, oh
we
shit.
cash in that dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why.
We
Okay, what do you get
burn through our
prescribed
gas
when
very
you
quick.
have ADHD?
Right. We gotta we're through the gas too quick. And it's cool. So I follow someone on TikTok, Yeshuani. If you haven't checked her out, she's very like high level, but also very simple. You'll understand when you go to her page. Anyway, I love following her because she just focuses on the mechanics. It's very cut and dry. And this reminds me of what I came across actually earlier today. She said, you can create whatever you want. You can achieve your dreams, but can you hold it? And the only way you can is when you create a container for it that can sustain what you're holding. It's like, hey, this is a big thing. This is a massive thing. Like, you got to create a container for it.
You have to expand
So,
yourself.
like, I would not be able to do this if I weren't doing it with someone else. Like, I say that I probably could have, but something's gonna have to really give. Honestly, I don't know. At this point in time, I would have frozen up. I would have become overwhelmed. It's like, oh, what do I talk about? There's too many things. And that's actually what happened when I created my couples course, and why I ended up creating something that didn't really 100% feel like this is something I'm proud of to put out. it's life-changing. It's absolutely life-changing
Mhm.
course, and it's amazing. But for some reason, I'm like, "Meh, something's off." And it's because my personality is not, my storytelling is not there. And as you see, I connect with how I view everything, and that's just how I do things. And if I'm robbed of that, then it doesn't feel right. There's something missing. And so there was a big lesson learned there. But the container piece is so important of like why you can't sustain or like follow through on your commitments, whatever. Like say I'm gonna start going to the gym Monday through Friday or 3 days a week or whatever. If you don't keep up with that, there's a really damn good reason for it, and it's all about the container. You didn't create sustainability within your creation. Like it's incomplete. You didn't create a container, which the 12 has a container, which is the 13th, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's
The container we could
the
say is the
highest of
vessel.
level stuff. Yeah,
The container here is the vessel of
and
the 12, the physical vessel.
yeah, but you have to know what container you need to create for these 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to process all this, and at that point you can sort of lock it in, and that's the container, that's the vessel, that is the sum of our consciousness. It's anyway.
In this
I
reality,
digress.
at least, right? This is part of our,
Exactly.
and it's like because you need your physical vessel to take the action.
Mhm.
That's the final, like, that's the purpose. Like, there's no point in doing all this work if you're not going to share your creation. That's why we're here together. Like,
Exactly.
you work on all these things. They don't have to be perfect. You're going to be like off in some areas, blah, 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 blah. But that's actually the fun of it. Of like, think about someone
Mhm.
who's like a painter or someone who writes music. They're never satisfied with their work. At least,
No.
like, they think about the
You're
greatest artists. Like, everyone that's looking at it or like hearing it or whatever, they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. This is crazy." And they're like,
that's
"I
shit.
hate it. I hate it." And that's me. That's a perfect example of like my course I made. Like something off. And it's that piece. It's like, well, I'm missing something. I missed the container piece. Yeah. And the
Yeah.
only way you'll really find
So
out what that looks like is by doing it and practicing and like, what does that mean to me?
keeping going, number 8 is desire. Do I know what I truly want? Channels your deepest motivations away from superficial wants toward the soul longing for truth.
Yeah. Actually, that was the catalyst to my awakening. Like when I
The
got
want.
to, yeah, I got to a place where I'm like, okay, well, I have everything I want. I literally just
What do you
achieved my
desire?
dream. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why does this feel like nothing?
How do I make things uncomfortable again?
Like, I'm here. Now what is what it was. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's more to it. There's got to be more. Like, I can't just keep
Yeah.
hitting the mark, the next level of like what you were describing and your job and like making so much money and like leveling up, leveling up, leveling up. And it's like, what for? What's the
Mhm.
point? What's the purpose? That's the place that I got to where I started exploring. Like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I drawn to these things? Why are these my interests? Why is my personality this way? Why do I speak the way that I do? Why did I get made fun of for these things? Those are the type of questions you start asking and you seek answers for. It's like, Ryan, you got curious. You're like, why are these things happening in my body? Why is my body responding this way? You start using that sense of curiosity, and that's your gift because that's what you're going to share with the world.
And, it's a beautiful thing. It's the damnedest thing because damn, I have everything I want. Why? But that's the calling. That's the pursuit. And it's hard to explain. And should it really even have to be explained? No, you just follow.
Yeah,
You
it's more of like a
continue.
sense, a feeling, like
And
yeah,
so
hard to put
number
into
9,
words.
for sure. Number 9 is emotion. Do I feel fully and name precisely? Develops emotional literacy, preventing spiritual bypassing. by processing energy instead of suppressing it. 10. Expression. Do I express authentically? The vehicle for sharing your inner truth and creative insights skillfully with the collective. And we've touched on that a few times already.
Yeah. Because it kind of like
And it's
it marries up with ethically. Wait, what was the other one? Integrity.
Yeah.
It marries up with integrity.
Intuition.
Well, I don't think integrity was one of its own, but it is like part of.
Yeah.
Was it part of intuition?
Integrity would have probably been, I don't know.
'Cause you
Integrity
just
can
read
be
it, I think,
applied
like a
to a
couple
lot of
back.
these things.
Well, I mean, it should be applied to like every single one.
Exactly.
Integrity marries up with authenticity
For sure.
and sharing yourself.
It's what
in
we're
that
both
way.
doing right now.
Yeah. Like me just telling you guys, I'm watching back clips of myself and actively changing the way that I present myself because I'm refining. That's authentic. That's as authentic as I can possibly get. I'm sharing my innermost landscape and like how I frame up my reality or how I view myself because I'm trying to normalize that and also give you like a pathway to what that actually looks like in real time. I'm not sitting there like, damn, Melissa, you just like the old version of me that has been slowly chipped away at would have been like, you're too much. You're distracting. You're this, you're that. Like, my all the things that I was told as a kid, basically. That's what would have gone through my head. And did the thought pop in? Yeah, because it's it's a habit. But did it actually anchor in? And like, did I follow that? No. I instantly was like, it's not that at all. It's like this, what I'm actually tuning into and why I noticed it is because I notice I'm not in alignment fully with like how I'm behaving and how I actually feel now. And so I'm marrying those up. I'm like coming into the middle. So that's
Integrating,
authenticity. Yeah.
individuating.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm active, I'm expanding in real time. It's ever expanding, and it's only through that contemplation that I do, like, the awareness, the perception, all these things that we're talking about is how you actually grow and
Exactly.
change.
And it's a process. And that brings us to number 11, which is empathy. Can I sense others' experience? Dissolves the illusion of separation and grounds your awakening in compassion and connection.
Yep. And I will say, people confuse empathy with care, okay? So, like, Ryan, you're a perfect example of this. Just because you can feel someone's pain does not mean your behaviors are empathetic behaviors. They're actually protective behaviors of yourself. They're actually the opposite of empathy. They are like self-serving, which is not a bad thing. Like, we literally are just reacting to protect from our vantage point of how we see the world and ourselves.
At the same time, you're destroying yourself. And how is that?
That's the consequence of it.
How's that good for anyone?
Yeah.
That's not, you have empathy for everybody else but yourself. And that's being on way, however you want to look at it, but all the way at the end of a spectrum when you want to be, again, right in the middle or as close to, depending on whatever situation you're in. You can adjust one way or the other, but you have to use that gift of discernment that you get to understand how to apply it in any given moment, but always know where center is so you can get back to it easier.
Yeah. Because when you're doing it from a protected place, when you're behaving from what you think is empathetic, it's actually not, because I've framed it this way in some of my videos on TikTok. You're cutting them out. You're cutting their feet out from under them by viewing them as less, as weak or like fragile, is what it really is. Is like, oh, poor you kind of thing, but not from a genuine place. Like, I don't want to see you suffer. You shouldn't have to suffer. I don't want that for you. Let me take that. And
That's part of their path.
exactly. And that's the thing that's gonna be hard for a lot of people who are empaths, because really what it is that you're feeling, you feel their pain and you can't tolerate the physical sensation that it's giving you.
Mm-hmm.
So you try to make that physical sensation go away within yourself by doing acts of service for them.
Yeah.
So it's a very
In
self-serving
coming at it
act.
from the goal is to become a sovereign empath versus a wounded empath, if you look at it in Jungian terms.
Perfect. Yep. So when
So,
you are sovereign and you have your, like, you love yourself first, basically, is what it is, like, genuinely, you will
mhm,
naturally show up for people in a balanced way
exactly.
because you do that for yourself.
Bingo.
You don't need to overcompensate for their pain because you're like, well, I know I can tolerate pain. Why can't you? So I'm going to leave you here. It's not my responsibility to save you because you have to save yourself. And that takes discernment and, like, knowing yourself so well to be like, I'm not a freaking asshole. This is their path. Like what you're saying, Ryan. Like, that's what you had to come to understand. Like, it's not my place to intervene here.
Yeah. And you'll like this, how this transitions then. So, number
Mm.
12 is presence. Am I fully in the moment? This is the integrating faculty. Presence serves all dimensions and stages. It is the ground of all other tools.
And yep, none of those can be done unless you're present. And it's incredible because if anyone answered, I do all those things, you're a liar. Like, I'm good there. I'm solid. I'm solid in those departments. Like, I do that. I do that. I do that. You're a liar to yourself. You're lying to yourself. And even if you 100% believe it, you have major blind spots. But a lot of you may enter into this and, like, I have none of those things, and maybe you're selling yourself short, and that's your MO. And so there's usually, like, two ends of the spectrum here. So you're gonna probably fall somewhere on one end, it, on this spectrum in the middle, whatever. And it's your gauge. It's like, okay, when I don't know where to start, this is your map. Pick one.
Yeah.
Just pick one
Work on it.
that calls to you. And you can look at it and be like, which one? And you can highlight them different colors or something. Which color is calling to me in this moment? And this is where you're starting to tune into your intuition or whatever. Like, I'm going to work on presence today. I'm going to work
And
on perspective today. And, like, what does that actually mean?
so part of what happened with all of this, where this came from, there is the algorithms I made. I kind of took it upon myself to create a sort of spiritual awakening map. And you can enter it at any phase. You learn how to identify, like, I feel
love
like I'm
that.
shamelessly pitching here, which is something I
Trust me,
need
I
to
felt
work
this.
on, but it's
I
beautiful.
felt the same with
And
my course talk too. So don't worry.
we're going to work. I'm going to get with Melissa and, our third that's coming in. We're going to refine the shit out of this at some point, and we're going to put it out. And it has journal prompts already, like for each one of these 12. It has mindfulness practices. It has all of these things. We just need to go and refine it because
Yeah.
I did
I'll do
that.
the look and feel of it. I like making
Yeah.
it look pretty.
And yeah. But we want it to be something that isn't tied to, I know Melissa, and I kind of dropped this on her last minute, but I did it last minute. I did it earlier today, waiting for all this to happen because I had the day off and I was like, shit, she called me the brain.
Damn, you
How
had
do
the
I
day
fucking,
off? That's nice.
yeah. Well, I have to work
I was
tomorrow
like, hey,
morning.
I haven't read the document that we're supposed to be talking about. I'm literally reading it while I'm like rocking my daughter to sleep on the rocking chair. I'm reading the document, trying to not shine a light in her face so I could be updated in a moment. But this is so cool because we're, like, really teaming up here and balancing each other out in a lot of ways. So cool.
Exactly. And we're going to come up with something and we're going to we're going to refine this. And it's hard to just take something in and you don't want to listen to us 2 or 3 times. Like we won't expect you to,
Yeah.
So we're going to come up with something and we're going to put it out and we're going to make it as accessible as humanly possible.
Yeah. Like a quick reference sheet or like a quick reference app
Yeah,
of like what to do in these moments. And yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. To make it as user friendly, easy to navigate. And because this process, if you are indeed awakening, that's why you're listening to this. And we're talking about things that I don't think anyone else is really touching on in this way.
Mm-mm.
We're we're getting we're cutting out the fluff and getting straight to the core of all of it. Yes, there's all this other like flashy shit that's gonna try to get your attention. Like, for example, like the Galactic Federation of Light. Like all this shit. Don't get distracted, guys. Don't get distracted in all this
That
stuff.
Yeah, and that could be a very likely potentiality of all this, but don't get lost there because there's a lot of fucking work to do here. And, we're not going
Yeah.
to get there unless we buckle down and
Yeah.
take the steps necessary to grow the collective, because it's a collective. Instead of the collective energy harvesting, it's flipping the paradigm, the collective energy giving. That's what
Exactly
we're
what we're
trying to
doing right
accomplish.
now. We've done our inner work enough. Like, you're never going to be complete. Let me just put that out there. It's like a lifelong process of refinement, and you're always going to find little things you can tweak. But like when you're good enough, your person will find you.
Absolutely.
And then you do it. And then you keep doing it. And you just go.
have to learn to be present in that moment
Yeah.
and discern. So I think
Yeah.
we're going to stop it here. Next week, we're going to get into it's called Ken Wilber's Integral Framework, and it's the wake up, grow up, clean up, show up aspect of all this. And it's in a 4
I love
divisible, or, it's 12 is divisible by 4. And we're just going to keep following this path until a reasonable terminus. And again, there is no terminus, but we're going to have to let it go at some point, because you do start to over explain, and that's not what we're here for. We want to put enough information out there that people can take this and make this their own in whatever way. And where we're not projecting on you, doing our very best not to project on you, let you take it and make your own path, because that's what this life is about.
Yep. So we're giving you the foundation that you can work off of. And honestly, I had the foundation from the very beginning, and that's what helped me fast track to the place I'm at now, and the groundedness that I feel in what I'm sharing, because I had someone who was courageous enough to put themselves out there and put their time into it and stuff like that. So we're just basically giving back kind of what we got. And like for Ryan, like these people who've done all this research already and it's like stuck their necks out really in the field of what they're studying, because this stuff there's a lot of pushback on talking about consciousness and mystical experiences and spiritual awakening, kundalini awakening. Like, to put that in a freaking research like document or whatever, like have your peers review it when everyone's laughing at you like you're a joke. Like, they put themselves out there. So now we're doing the same thing, and it's going to keep going. And we're hoping that to inspire you guys is really what it boils down to. Of like, hey, I see them doing that, or like if there's aspects of what they're saying that like, okay, that activated something in me, and then you run with it, whatever that looks like for you, because it's going to look different on every person. So we'll kind of leave you with that, and make sure that if you have questions or like something you want us to cover, like we can do that. And I also, on TikTok, I'm primarily on there, but if you message the TikTok, like Betrayal Body podcast, message TikTok, I can, or comment on any of the videos, I will do like a video reply. And so that everyone can see like and have access to, whatever we end up sharing, or Ryan can do a reply if he's on there.
Yeah, and at some point, I'm sure we'll start getting into lives and all that point.
Yeah, for sure.
We're taking things as we go. Yeah, for sure.
Just share it with anyone you can. I know it's kind of hard to share this information because it's hard to find your people
and you might,
that are going through it.
You might know somebody that even if it doesn't resonate with you, you might know somebody that
Yeah.
is confused. Send them our way. Damn it. That's what we're here for.